Love, Death and Robots Season 3 Jibaro Ending Explained. The closing episode to the volume was certainly a memorable one, with Jibaro containing a familiar art style and an extremely interesting concept. What did it all mean? Well, let's get into it. Here is Love, Death and Robots Season 3 Jibaro Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The episode focused around a siren in Jibaro, which when translated is considered a mountainous region which is in the environment where it looks like the episode was set. We saw the siren, who was a woman covered in gold and jewels, luring people into the river. A siren is something which stems from Greek mythology. Its intentions are to lure people to their destruction through the use of their song. Think of it like how mermaids can be perceived in tales. We saw the siren lure many soldiers towards their death after they swore themselves to some priests in the forest. The siren let out her scream and it attracted all of them towards her in an obsessive gaze and made them have uncontrollable actions. They all ended up killing each other, other than one soldier. This was the deaf soldier who was called Jibaro, who was not susceptible to her lure due to the fact that he could not hear anything. This gave him an immense amount of power and ability to resist, yet the siren saw this as intrigue as she had never encountered this before. She was even questioning if she had lost her power. That's what it was insinuating when she was holding her neck. Jibaro ran off into the woods and was then eventually followed by her into the darkness of night. This is then when the first moment in the episode of him picking up a piece of gold from the river and keeping it to himself played a great importance in the story. Once he noticed her, he followed her due to the fact that she was covered in jewels and gold, and he wanted to take it. Just like in that first clip, there was a sense of greed and want for something that wasn't his, that overpowered his morals and was essentially what caused his demise. He would no longer need to share the gold with his fellow soldiers as they were all claimed. He saw the amount of wealth he could potentially go on to have with all of it if he were to be successful in claiming it. He participated in a form of dance with her before she proceeded to cut him, which then made him go on to what he believed was to kill her and throw her body into the river. He stripped her of all of the gold and jewels and proceeded to run off into the mountainous region again. As he embarked on his way out, he took a drink of water from the river that he threw the siren into, which was now full of her blood, which made the water that he was drinking contain certain abilities. It was a symbol of the fact that her home is the river and it belonged to her. I also believed it was a nod to all of the people that she had killed over the years by her lure. After he took his drink, we saw him gain the ability to hear for the first time, and you could see the sense of panic, confusion, frustration and fear that it had upon him as he was hearing the birds and just life for the first time. He awoke at the point where he found himself at the beginning of the episode, where the siren claimed all of his other men. With this, we saw a stripped down siren with no gold unleashing her song upon him as he was now susceptible to being claimed. He could do all but nothing other than be lured into the river by her enchanting scream, and we did eventually see him fall down to the bed of the river and lay amongst the hundreds of other soldiers that she'd claimed over the years. Greed was the motivator from this. He was initially lucky and was spared in the first instance when everybody was slaughtered. He should have just left. If greed hadn't been a driving force that he allowed to take over, he would have likely been able to escape with his life and go on to live another day. However, he chose not to follow that path. It was a powerful message in that sense, and it tied back to the first clip that we saw at the start of the episode when he took the piece of gold and wanted to keep it for himself. Jibaro was a conquistador of Spain, who throughout the 14th and 15th century went to the Americas and would take all of the gold that they could possibly get their hands on, so it was part of his intentions. But this time it had deadly consequences where he was once in a position of being spared. It was a great episode with a message that resonated, and despite being a little chaotic at points, the art style which we'd seen before in The Witness was familiar yet refreshing to see, and I enjoyed most aspects of it, especially the climax. What did you think of this episode? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.